Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it's January 24th of 2022. The changes from yesterday. I'm running Windows 10 here on this computer right in front of me right now. And I'm using the Avery Media USB webcam. So this is Windows 10. Now over here I'm running Windows 11 on the Beelink mini computer. So this is Windows 11 here, Windows 10 here. I might have trouble keeping track of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a background. If you know of one, by the way, I'm going to look for a background or a theme so that I can install it here, and I will know right away on the screen that this is my Windows 10 computer. And then I'll do the same thing over here, set this up so I will be able to look immediately at the screen and know that this is Windows 11, and I won't get confused. Old men get confused. I'm not using the Elgato Wave 3 over here. I'm using the Avery Media USB webcam. Over here, I just switched things around, so I've just got an inexpensive, USB inexpensive webcam up there. I'll probably be changing that. And I'll be using over here now the Elgato Wave 3 microphone. We'll see how that goes. So Windows 10, and that's this computer here. And by the way, this computer is an old Dell computer. Has a gigabyte, hard drive, and I forget how much memory it's got. I'll check on that sometime. And it's a pretty good, for an old computer. It's pretty good. Anyway, they just made an update to Windows 10. It's still running 21H2, which is the the last of the window, but they're still adding. I'm not sure how they're gonna do. I guess they know how they're gonna do. Since this is Windows 10, this computer of mine does not have what it needs in order to be upgraded to Windows 11. And for the rest of us people like that, there will be updates, security updates, and there will be, I think they're going to throw in some things as they're working, because Windows 10 and Windows 11 are about the same. And as they do some stuff, I'm sure they're going to do some stuff for Windows, 10. But of course they want you to buy, upgrade and buy Windows 11, so they're not going to make it, and Windows 10 is dead, but you can be using it for a number of years. I forget how many. And so let's see, they just made an upgrade. So let's first of all see what they have done. KB, I'll put the link, 5010793. Let's see what they've done. Should I install this quality update, Windows 10? Okay, 793, I'm trying to see. that's not telling me what I need to go, so let's go here. Windows Update. A cumulative update for Windows 10 version 21H2 for x86 based systems. Looks like this person sort of does the same thing I do, you know. Let's see, people commenting, I guess. Why shouldn't you? This is entirely up to you. Microsoft releases previews of next month's updates ahead of time. Odds are you won't notice any differences. KB 59543 will break L2TP VPN connections. If you care about that, KB 5110793 will fix that. Let's see. So it looks like people here are having trouble with L2TP VPN connections. It says here that Microsoft's VPN client is notoriously fickle. Okay. This person says, I have 3 VPN connections, work, home, and grandpa's home. All 3 of them work well. Okay. Okay, this is not a let's go back here. Wait a minute, you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, maybe no, I won't bring that up because there wasn't anything worth. Let's do a search for this again. That does not look like. $793. Okay, it doesn't look like it's you know, it's done something, but they're not telling us very much about what it's done. I don't think there's much. They made some little tiny change, I think. That's my prediction. But I'll put whatever links I can find, and if I find something later on, I will update you on that. So, I think that's it. But let's go over here and see what in the heck. Let's go. Let's see. This Microsoft browser has again reset itself for search to Bing. I wish they would not. You know, it doesn't endear themselves. You know, they. Wow. Hot mic catches Biden calling Fox reporter son of a bitch. Great, you know. And I don't even mind if he stuttered a little bit when he did it, you know. I don't even consider Fox News to be, you know, a news. You know, I mean, they lie so much, they are so unreliable. I mean, it's just. I mean, they can call themselves whatever they want to call it. You know, I could make my site here. I could say I'm, you know, International News Broadcasting Center. I mean, you could do, you can do whatever you want to do, but see, Fox News is, it's not a news station. Let's see. Robert F. Kennedy invokes Nazi Germany in an offensive anti-vaccine speech. I've said this before, I'll repeat it. I've said it many times for years. And that's, we can't do it. But, okay, we had a President Kennedy. Nobody, I don't know, for like 100 years, no Kennedy should be allowed to be, elected president or vice president or something. It's, and that would apply to the Bushes too, the Bushes, who else? The Clintons. If anybody who's just ban the rest of the family, because here you've got Robert F. Kennedy, a great name, and he is running around anti-speech saying, I think he's the same Kennedy, I believe, who, that pissed me off because I worked hospital security for 30 years, and who's, I think this is the Kennedy who took his son out of the nursery. Him and his wife had a baby, and he was at the hospital. And I think he might have had the news media or something with him, but he took his baby out of the nursery. And of course, hospitals, they put a lot of effort into security, for babies and for infants that are, born in the hospital, to make sure that a child isn't kidnapped or something like that. And I don't know all the details, but apparently he went in, scooped up the baby. I'm not going to mention what security things are used, and in fact I haven't worked hospital security for a little bit over 20 years, so I don't know what new things they've added, but he went in, scooped up a baby, and an alarm or something went off, and the supervisor for that floor, that unit, maternity, responded and said, well, first the nurses they're working the unit, did whatever their thing was, and that didn't do any good. Apparently he's better than the rest of us, and apparently rules and things don't apply to him because of his name or because of his wealth or because he's an asshole. And so then there's, I guess, a supervisor for that unit, the RN, registered nurse, and of course she calls for the house supervisor, because I think it was not Monday through Friday during the daytime when all the administrators are in their offices. And what I found from 20 years of hospital security is that hospitals draw up plans and procedures, and they test it. They test it Monday through Friday during the daytime when everybody's there. But I've seen I've been there when it wasn't Monday through Friday during the fucking daytime, and emergency procedures have to happen, and they have their procedures and their plans. And like, I worked at a small hospital for 9 or 10 years, and then I worked at another small hospital for 1 year. But anyway, no matter how big or small the hospital is, they have their disaster plans, what is to happen, the pages that'll be paged over the public address system, that people will be called. They have all these things. Okay, let me take the small hospital. When something happens, an emergency, the security officer, a security officer or officers will respond to the front door of the hospital. Security officer will respond to the emergency room. A security officer or two will respond to the disaster control center, where the CEO of the hospital and other department heads will be, so they can direct all this kind of stuff, right? Nights, Saturdays, Sundays. There's no administrators. There's no administrators there. They're at home. Uh, well, take the small hospital I worked at. When I worked at the hospital, I was the security officer. That was it. There was one of us, me. On the other, see, I was working a 4-day work week then, but I was working a 4-day work week. So yeah, 4-day, two 12-hour shifts, two 8-hour shifts. So for the other days, there was a security officer working. Uh, anyway, now I'm not a divinity, or what would be more than a divinity. There's not. I'm not the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost or anything. I was not able to. I had to run around different. Do everything. I could not respond to the front door. I could not respond to the emergency room. I could not respond to the command. The command center wasn't open. Nobody was there. There was no other department heads there. I mean, it was. I had a bomb threat come in, and at night at this hospital, the nurses who were working up on the second floor, there was barely. They had. The administration figured out if there's X number of patients or something, then you need X number of staff, and there wasn't enough staff to do it. It was the nurses up on the second floor at night and on the weekends. It was I helped out. I don't know how many times with different things, everything you could think of. Uh, well, when I first went out to the hospital, when it first opened, and I went out there, I I knew what they would do and how it was going to be. So, but anyway, I went to the security office and I pulled out the disaster plan and looked under different things. I looked because I was trained by civil defense when I was in high school or right after high school, trained to be a radiological monitor when there was nuclear war. I was when I was in high school and before, I was in the Ground Observer Corps watching for civil defense. That was the Ground Observer Corps was Air Force Auxiliary or whatever they want to call that, and then there was civil defense, Kansas City, Missouri civil defense. I volunteered for that. I attended the meetings and got the training and all this kind of stuff. And one of the training things that I got was I was trained to be a radiological monitor. So when nuclear war happened, and if I was lucky enough to be in a shelter when the people wanted to know when it was safe to go outside and where it was safe and that type of stuff, I was expected to go out with a Geiger counter or whatever they called it then and find out. I think in reality I'd been holding on the door. Don't open the fucking door. I'm staying here, probably. But anyway, where was I? Oh, there was a bomb threat. So there was a bomb threat at this hospital, small hospital, about 5 a.m. in the morning. Nobody was in the emergency room except two nurses. The doctor, I think, was in his little sleeping room. And there was myself, and there was a Belton police officer there, just visiting, checking in, making sure everything was okay. And I think down the hall there was a lab tech that was working, and I think maybe a respiratory therapy person that was getting ready to do morning stuff. But that was basically, then some nurses. That was it. And so the hospital, the hospital had, what they had done is they had taken the main hospital, the hospital, the little hospital had like 40, they had 80 beds, but they were only allowed to use 40 beds in order to get that, be allowed to build that. But, so when the call came in, it rang up on the nursing station where they were trying to get patients ready for the next, getting ready for things that the test had to be done and were coming, and patients had to be whatever, and there was a procedure that we had given, put in a procedure book in for all employees, and how to answer the phone, what questions to ask, and all that type of stuff. And the nurses, as busy as there were, and there was only two, I think, out there. Maybe there might have been three. One of them answered the phone, up on the floor, and a guy called in with a bomb threat, and she got all the information that I needed. She felt she did everything correct, and then she called me, and the police officer said, I'll call in for the fire department and more officers and police officers and stuff. And I said, we'll take care of it. You and I will take care of the thing, because of the information I got when the nurse asked a couple questions and passed that information on to me. I said, we'll take care of it. We had a new hospital administrator, and he was, of course, at home. Of course, that's where he should be. And I called him real quick, and I said, we've had a bomb threat here. And he says, what am I supposed to do? And I said, well, you're supposed to be operating the command center, but of course, there's nobody in the command center, and there's not going to be. I said, you want me to handle this for you? And he said, yes, Jim, I'd appreciate it. I said, okay, you can go back to sleep. We'll take care of it. And we took care of it. By the way, when I went to that small hospital, when I looked through the disaster plan and everything, with one security officer will go here, one security officer will go here, and there was never more than one security officer there unless we had somehow to call somebody in, And I flipped to the, radiological or the disaster plans, and the one for a nuclear incident of some sort, said security officer will go to go to the X-ray radiology department, and we'll get the Geiger counter. They didn't say Geiger counter; they used another word for it, I forget. And take it to the emergency room and give it to the radiological, and I forget what they call it, the doctor that's in charge of radiology department. And of course, they had no Geiger counter. So anyway, back to Robert F. Kennedy. Then I think that's the one. He was a Kennedy anyway. He took the baby, and the nurse for that unit is trying to, say whatever she would say is, we need to do this, or the procedure, I mean, she wouldn't know if Kennedy and his wife were having if they were divorcing. Maybe she wouldn't even know if they were divorced, Yeah, I don't know how many times at some of the hospitals I worked at, a guy would come in with a woman who was having a baby and go up with her, and it was his baby, but then her husband would show up, or vice versa, the other way, go up. And so you don't know. But anyway, so this nurse is trying to do her job as best she can, and he's pushing her, and he's taking his baby, and he's taking his baby outside, I think, to show to somebody. Maybe that's where the news media was or something. I'm not sure though. He could, well, he can gather a news media, I guess, by here, denouncing vaccines. But so then the nursing supervisor for the floor, who would be, since there's nobody there, she was acting head of the hospital and so she's there trying to do her thing, and there was video. Somebody took video. I saw it on the news. Pissed me off, of course, and he gets on the elevator or is trying to get on the elevator, and he is shoving the nurses, and I'm not sure what he did, if he kicked one or what, and then anyway. So I'm sure the hospital, I don't think it's ever said, but anyway, I'm sure the hospital told the nurses, don't file charges for assault or battery or anything like that at all. Just, he's a VIP, or I'm not sure what they said. I've heard it all, and anyway, it went to the nurses, I think, did press charges, and it went to court, and it was tossed out or something, Okay, where were we? Back to so many people want a Ford Maverick that Ford's stopping taking orders. A toddler went on a $2,000 Walmart shopping spree. I think I read that the other day. The 2-year-old, let's see, wait a minute, it says toddler. I think I read that the other day. The kid somehow got the card or something. I think he did it from home, I believe, and there was stuff that was going to be ordered by the parents or something. I don't know, maybe a new television set, or I don't know, if I remember correctly. And the kid, I guess, was toddler, took stuff off the order list and then put down toys and that kind of stuff, and then hit, send, and I think it was delivered. A woman was arrested over a Nazi salute at Auschwitz. I know I've never been. Only place outside the United States I've been is to Mexico for a few days with the wife years ago, and 2 of our kids, little kids, Anyway, I believe at Auschwitz and the other places, concentration camps and such, I think they have some, like maybe no picture taking and, stuff like that. Oh, that's okay. It would be Germany. Was Auschwitz in Germany or Austria? Or, of course, Austria was considered part of Germany. Anyway, they don't allow. Yeah, unlike the United States, here you can apparently break into the capital of the United States of America with Confederacy flags and go around and do all kinds of stuff like that and not get into much trouble. Germany, because of their situation after the war, wearing a German uniform, giving Nazi salutes, showing the swastika, that kind of stuff, that's illegal, and you can get arrested and get into trouble, for it. I guess after the Civil War, we should have done the same thing here. Although the idea was, we were still one. They never broke away from the United States. They couldn't. And they were always, they were in rebellion or whatever, but they were still citizens of the United States of America. And we wanted to, unite the nation, and it turns out that it didn't work, and since 1864, I think, when the Civil War ended. And it might have been better if we had back then. I read when I was in grade school, U.S. Grant, President Grant's, book, and I was impressed with, how the surrender was taken care of, and how Lee and was, not thrown into prison, and General Lee, and things like that. But I think maybe it was a mistake, I spent in the 50s, I think it was, a summer in Barnwell, South Carolina. Summer, because my dad was working building the H-bomb plant. So maybe it was a mistake. We tried. We did our best, but it didn't work out. We've got people, who didn't appreciate the fact that, General Grant allowed the officers to keep their, I think, their swords, or of course it might have varied some other places, but allowed Grant allowed Lee to not General Lee. Man, my mind's going. To keep, allowed the Confederate soldiers to keep their firearms, so they could, I guess they must have differentiated a little bit. You can't take a cannon home with you or something, But and to keep their horses, I think, because they would need the horses for pulling the plows, and to feed their people. I mean, everything was handled well, except the other side, took advantage of it. Let's see. I still haven't got my third vaccine shot. I want to get it. It's just I tried one time, and I had apparently. I think at first when I made my video, and I didn't go into big time on it, and I didn't rave or rant or whatever, but I thought that the pharmacy had messed up. I think I probably messed up. I made the appointment, and it was the pharmacy that I went to, the one 2 blocks from here. And I went there, and apparently, because they have these pharmacies every 2 blocks or 4 blocks or something on every corner, so much money in it, that they had made my appointment for the one that was further down the street, and I couldn't get there in time. And so they didn't say piss off, but I mentioned this that, when we found out that it was the wrong pharmacy, so my daughter has to drive, me. And we were less than 5 minutes away, and we could see the pharmacy. And my daughter said, we went to the wrong pharmacy, but we're going to be late. But we can see the pharmacy, and we'll be there in like 5 or 6 minutes. And the lady at the pharmacy said, everybody else is here, and we do, I forget what she said, I think she said 5 minutes. I don't see them doing it. I've never seen them doing one in five, like every 5 minutes or something. Anyway, said, sorry, you have to reschedule. Now, the local pharmacy down the street, the same company, not because they know us or anything, but they wouldn't, I don't think they would, I think they just said, we'll try to work, something, but anyway. That fantastic telescope is out there. Wow. What is an exoplanet? Astronauts reveal alarming view of Earth. Oh God, that's all we need. Saturn's ice moon could be a stealth ocean world hospitable to life. Astrophysics on making Mars livable. Anybody want to go to Mars? I don't think so. Earth is bad enough. A Mexican journalist who was fearful for her life in Mexico was killed in Tijuana. U.S. places 8,500 troops on alert for possible deployment. Russia lost so many people, like during World War II. I mean, the massive losses that they had. The United States, well, because a large number of American people are really super stupid. I mean, super stupid. The United States thinks that, we won World War II, and the other nations, all suffered and made gigantic sacrifices. But if you're going to talk about the nation that made the most sacrifices, that lost the most people, it would be the USSR, and which is now Russia. And let's see, what else is, I'm going to stop when it's at 1 hour here. Let's see. Secrets of Playboy pull back the curtains of the dark side of Hugh Hefner's empire. I mean, I was a teen when Playboy magazine came out, and I bought it, and I took the centerfolds out and I put them all over my room, And I actually, all I cared about was that centerfold, for my room. Well, to look at. But I actually, men would always say, well, I know, they'd say, apparently, well, I just read Playboy for the articles. And they had good articles, and I read some of the articles, and I liked reading some of the articles. So, because they had, like, I don't know, cars, expensive cars, and expensive clothes, and that, that kind of stuff. I'm not sure I ever owned a suit. for everything I went to, weddings or funerals or whatever, I wore a. I mean, even as a teenager, maybe even after that, just a sport coat and slacks or whatever. I mean, I never had. My parents could have afforded, but and I didn't. I feel deprived or anything. I didn't, but I did read the magazine for that. But and like when the Playboy Club was on television or whatever, late at night or something, I couldn't even stand to watch it. Yeah, there was, girls there, women there in like skimpy bikinis, all that kind of stuff. I thought, Hugh Hefner with his pipe, and I thought that whole thing was just disgusting and revolting. I mean, if he wants to do that stuff at home in his Playboy mansion or whatever, I mean, the older he got, the younger the women or the girls got, and it was just a turn off. But then when like Penthouse magazine came along, I liked it better than I did, Playboy. They had more pictures and whatever. The pictures never did a lot for me. What I did like for Penthouse magazine was they had a section called The Girls Next Door or something, and they had people send in, guys send in a picture of your wife or your girlfriend. I guess they'd have been naked. It's been so long ago. And a little, their name, like their first name or something. And then it'd be a little, thing, but I liked that because I thought, these are really, I mean, the centerfold one, sure, they're, they've had breast implants, they've had, I mean, everything, and probably the pictures were just touched up, in addition to that. But the girls next door, you could tell those were, and I liked that because I thought, well, that could be, that could be the girl next door. But I didn't believe anything that was written. I didn't believe the name was there. Of course, they didn't give the last name, but I didn't believe the name was theirs, and I didn't believe the several sentences underneath the picture was real. But I met, let's see, I got married at age 26. I got divorced at age 40. So to be after 40, I met a couple, and he was 21 in the Air Force, and she was, I think, 18, going to college. And I was talking to him, and she had sent her, or he had sent her picture in to the magazine, and it hadn't been published, but I think her name was, I think it was Chris. But and back then they had taken, he had taken pictures of her, and he took them to those things I don't think exist anymore, but in a middle parking lot there'd be a place you could drive up with your car, and you could leave the film to be developed. And he took nude pictures of his wife. See, he was 21, she was 18. There to be developed. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, we went back and they had developed the pictures. But I don't think they gave him the pictures, but they gave him back the film. By then was a negative. They had the negative. So they said, we don't deal with this kind of stuff, and shame on you. Of course, there was just one person in the booth. Shame on you or whatever. But he got back the negatives, and then I think he might have been able to make his own. There for a while, I played around with photography, and I developed my own pictures. And but anyway, they said they sent him into penthouse girl next door section, and he and she told me what they said, and it was one of those things that they used to see in those like penthouse letter things, where the husband or boyfriend says, we drive down the highway, and my girlfriend, she takes off her top and flashes them at the truck drivers and stuff, that kind of stuff and stuff like that. And I didn't believe any of those stories. But then, like he was in the Air Force, and she was fine. He got deployed to, I think, Germany, and of course they went to Germany, and I never heard from him again. But I was going through Penthouse magazine one time, and I always went to the girl next door thing, and there was her picture and her real first name and the things that he said or she said in the thing. The only thing I remember is that that she flashed her tits at the truck drivers or something. So we're still on the first page. Amazon Echo show 15 reviews. So I think that's it. I said I was going to go for an hour. By the way, I have this at 1080p, 60 frames per second. Oh, I hope the audio is in sync with the video. Since I just made some changes, I could have messed something up. Guess that's it. Please do, a thumbs up. If you can use my link below to go to Amazon. With that link below, all you have to do is just, click and go there. If you go to Amazon, if you buy something, I'll get, credit for it. It doesn't cost you anything. And what else? Guess that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and let's go see if this, see, I'm using the microphone on this USB Avery Media, and it may not work, well enough. I did a little test before. I did a couple tests before. And one that was, I forget what software I was using. The video was really out of sync with the audio. And then I switched, and the audio and the video were in sync. That's not to say it won't be out of sync again. CNN just updated. Judge strikes down New York mask mandate. The judge ruled that because New York was no longer under a state of emergency when the mask mandate was announced, officials did not have the authority to order it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.